finally to the heavyweight championship. We followed his journey. Great. Sheamus is there, 4 months, heavyweight champion. Great. What's next? Nothing. He already reached the top.
Exactly. That's why tag team wrestling's dead. Because what are they going to do? They bring in a tag team, they win the tag belts, and that's it.
It doesn't work that way. The championship belts can't be used to establish new talent or talent that they're trying to get over. I mean, it's the same with Ted DiBiase Jr., who is a fantastic wrestler. Everything he does in the ring looks great. He is one of the most believable-looking professional wrestlers. I mean, he's right up there as far as in-ring skills with Randy Orton, Edge, so on and so forth. He just happens to not have charisma, so you can't give him a gimmick that requires charisma just to try and get him over. Gee, well, if we give him this gimmick, it'll work because it worked for his father. Ted DiBiase Jr. is the most unentertaining person that they're trying to push. The same with Cody Rhodes. It's just not there. You know, and the other thing, too, it's not their fault. It's how they're presented on TV. For a year straight, the audience was led to believe that Ted DiBiase Jr. and Cody Rhodes carried Randy Orton's bags. They weren't treated as being on the same level as Randy Orton. For God's sake, they never even had Cody Rhodes or Ted DiBiase Jr. in a singles match. They were always in handicap matches against John Cena or handicap matches against Triple H.
Yep.
They were perceived as job guys.
Yeah.
So you can't then take two guys who did nothing but lose and who did nothing but get slapped around by Randy Orton and who Randy Orton beat both of them at WrestleMania and then expect the fans to accept them from that point forward when they did nothing for a year but lose and get embarrassed and weren't really given a chance to speak. So it's not really their fault. It's really the fault of the writers and the creative team because, what was Cody Rhodes? Here's the other thing, too. It's all about the gimmick.
It is.
It's all about the gimmick. The gimmick of young Cody Rhodes, who is going to care? Nobody. And now, what is he, dashing? Great.
He's dashing, and he'll tell you 100 times.
Marge, gather up the kids. We're going to the wrestling show this Saturday to see dashing Cody Rhodes wrestle on the card. It's not his fault. It's how they're presented. They're presented like crap.
If I walked in the middle of Garden State Plaza Mall, to put it in Jersey terms, and on a Friday night where it's insanely busy, and I went out, ooh, yeah.
Everybody would know what you're talking about.
Everybody would know what I'm doing. They probably think I'm insane, but they would know what I was doing.
They would know. They might not know the name Randy Savage, but somebody would say, "Oh, that's the Macho Man voice. Was he a boxer, a wrestler, an entertainer?" They would know who you meant exactly.
And a lot of guys today, they don't have that same thing. I mean, Austin again just transcended it. The Rock is the only guy since Hogan that I've ever felt, oh my God, this guy's amazing. But a lot of guys just don't have that same kind of thing. And
you can't teach charisma. You can't teach somebody how to perform. If you go back and you grab an old videotape or a DVD of when Steve Austin was in Global Wrestling, I think it was they were World Class Global, and you see his first or second or third matches, or when he was 6 months in feuding with his trainer, gentleman Chris Adams.
I think that even though it took place in Sportatorium, I think that was not the correct. I think that was USWA. They called it
USWA, whatever it was called then. Steve Austin had it from day one. He had that performing ability that you just can't teach.
Even with the Hollywood Blunts, he had that little taunt where he rolled the camera,
just by pushing a talent as the son or grandson of somebody doesn't work. They tried to push The Rock as Rocky Maivia, first, third-generation wrestler in WWF history, son of Rocky Johnson, grandson of High Chief Peter Maivia, and nobody cared. They tried to push Cody Rhodes is the son of Dusty Rhodes. No one cares. They tried to push Ted DiBiase Jr. as the son of the $1 Million Man. Nobody cares. They never really pushed it down your throat at the beginning that Randy Orton was the son of Cowboy Bob Orton, because Randy Orton has those qualities that you just can't teach. And it's funny, Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream, is more famous than Cowboy Bob Orton. And I would even say that the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, is more famous than Cowboy Bob Orton. So Randy Orton comes from a father who's the least famous of those three, yet he is a megastar and awesome in the ring. I mean, everything he does looks real. So it's not who your father is or who your grandfather is. It's the character and persona that you portray, and Randy Orton is one of the greatest of all time, and when all's said and done, maybe the greatest of all time, because he plays that character so well. It's about the character. It's not, well, the fans will respond to this guy because he's somebody's son or grandson. It does not work that way. When The Rock became The Rock, it had nothing to do with his heritage or legacy. That was him, The Rock. That was his vibe. That was his gimmick. That was his character. You could feel it.
Oh, yeah.
You could not feel it at all when they pushed him as the third-generation superstar. Nobody cared.
No. I mean, they hated him. The Rocky Sucks was not in a term of endearment. He was supposed to be a babyface when they started chanting Rocky Sucks at him.
But that's the thing. Stone Cold was an accident. The Rock was an accident. Hulk Hogan was an accident because the WWF fired Hulk Hogan in 1991 or 92 when he worked for them because he was going to go and do Rocky III. They fired him. Oh, no. Professional wrestlers aren't actors. If you go and do that movie, it'll expose the business. So granted, it was Vince McMahon Sr., Vince's father, that fired Hulk Hogan. So then he went and did Rocky III. He became hot. He went to the AWA. They turned him babyface because of the movie was a hit, and he came off as looking like a star. Then Vince Jr. and the WWF brought him back. So Hulk Hogan was an accident. The Rock character was an accident. Stone Cold character was an accident. He came up with it on his own because the ringmaster wasn't working. John Cena, even though his offense sucks in the ring, the gimmick is good. The gimmick is believable. That's him. The character works. He makes a lot of money, and he sells millions of dollars of merchandise to the kids in the crowd. That's great. God bless him. It works for him. His character was an accident because they tried to push him as God knows what, and then Stephanie McMahon heard him freestyle rapping on a tour bus one day when they were overseas and said, you know what, maybe you should do that on the air. His character was an accident, which is why you have to let these guys go out and be themselves and improvise. You can't have some 25-year-old preppy nerd who used to write jokes and scripts for 2.5 Men in Hollywood come in and try to write a script for Kofi Kingston. How could he relate to Kofi Kingston's background and ethnicity? And put
hey, I don't really, I have nothing against 2.5 Men, but it has nothing to do with wrestling.
Exactly. You know? Now, what if they had Michael P.S. Hayes go and write a script for Lost? Well, they don't have professional wrestlers write scripts for sitcoms or dramas or movies, so why do they have writers for movies and sitcoms and comedies and dramas go and write professional wrestling? I don't understand. That'd be like having me this Sunday, okay, I'm going to coach the Jets. What? I don't understand.
Last question I have for you, then I'll let these guys take over.
Sure. Yeah, because then I have to go and check out MetalEpicenter.com to find out what's going on with Iron Maiden.
I got to get that site going again. That's kind of my wife and I labor of love, that one, and we've kind of let it lapse to try to get the wrestling site going again.
Hey, it's great. You know what? It's far more entertaining than professional wrestling these days.
Yep. Cool. So I guess this is kind of a depressing question, but when you're training these guys and you're telling them don't watch WWE, don't watch TNA, and I assume ROH is probably much the same, when you tell these guys basically not to watch what is considered wrestling around us, despite what they might argue they're not, what are you hoping that they reach for the sky to obtain if they are not to watch the only ones that are kind of the ones that are going to make you a star?
Well, at the independent level of professional wrestling, you can't present it like it's presented on TV, or you'd have no fans. When you watch WWE on TV or TNA, it's about who pulled up in the limousine, which diva is fighting with the other diva because one stole the other's panties out of their bag in the locker room, so let's have a match. When was the last time you went to Yankee Stadium to show up for a game and you didn't know who the Yankees are playing? How in God's name, on Monday Night Raw, on a live TV show, one guy comes out at the beginning and speaks for 15 minutes, and then another guy comes out and interrupts him and makes a challenge, and that's the main event for that night? Shouldn't these